Hello and welcome to the tutorial video for the Battle Systems mining lift. This is a very simple one sheet set, but it does wonders to your dungeon. It allows you to have this lovely kind of lift that you can pop your miniatures on and get them from much higher levels down to the the ground floor and everywhere in between, as it were. Do you have a ground floor in a dungeon? I don't know, but anyway, if that's what you want, this is the sheet for you. Simple one sheet set. Let's get it together. Pretty simple sheet. Most of this is the mining lift, as it were, and then we've also got a little bit of like a coal scatter around here, and then we've got like a nice crate here as well. But anyway, the main thing here we're going to deal with here is this mining lift. So let's do this. I'm going to pop out the parts for the lift. Okay, so this is all the parts for the mining lift. There's basically two parts to the mining lift. You've got the station, this is the part that it connects to, and then you've got the actual lift itself, which kind of hangs on the station. And because of that, there's two stations, because you might want one on one level and then you'll want another one on a lower level, so you get two of those stations and the lift just goes between the two. So everything I've got here is kind of a duplicate, so I'm going to remove one of everything, because once I've showed you how to put one station together, it's going to be the same for the other one. So just going to remove that and pop those parts off to one side. Okay, so let's move the lift to one side for the moment and actually just concentrate on the station. Okay, so in order to demonstrate this, I'm also going to have a wall here, because these will be connected to a wall when you've got them in your dungeon, either up on a higher level or down on a more ground level, or somewhere in between. And I've also got a clip here, because obviously this goes with your dungeon, and your dungeon's got loads of clips, so it'll help to demonstrate how this works. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to take this kind of plank piece with a bit of rope in the middle with various slots across it, and we're going to take the two, I'm going to call them sides, okay, and we've got one here with like a crank or a lever, wheel as it were, cog, and then we've got one here which has got just like an A-frame. Both have got these little connectors at the bottom, which are going to slot into the bottom of a wall. So using the slots at the bottom, I'm going to take the first one and I'm going to put it across here like this, and then I'm going to take this one, and this one is going to also slot in, but it will be kind of here like this. And right now it doesn't really want to do much or stay together, and this is because we need to get it onto a wall. So if I slot this into the bottom of a wall like this, locate that up here, and then I take this one and I slot this into the bottom of the wall as well, like so. And you'll notice that there is, what would you call this, a little nubbin, a little bit on the top here, which is also just going to push into that wall to help locate that in place. And now this all stays here a lot better. Also, we have this clip here, and if this is your very top wall, then you'd use like just a simple L clip, but I'm just going to imagine that we're going to build walls up higher, so I'm going to drop this T-clip in here. I'll bring this out and drop that in like so, and make sure that's sitting on the outside. So if I was building up, then I could basically continue to build above and just have my station if this was ground floor or whatever. Okay, so just undo that, Well, I don't need that. Okay, so we've got that like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this part here, and we're just going to put it in this one remaining slot, and that's going to sit there like that. Then we have this little piece here, which kind of adds to the kind of rope mechanism looking part of this, and we're going to slot this onto the top of here like so. Let me just take this off so I can see what I'm doing better. Damn my old eyes. There we go. Pop that back in there. Excellent. And then you'll see that this then drops over the top of here and goes on here, and that creates this kind of mechanism where you're turning this handle here and it's running up here, which is pulling this rope and doing a thing which then I imagine activates something on a piece of rope that brings the bridge from one side to the other, as it were. Then we've got a couple of little bits left, and so we have this, which then can slot onto the front of here like so, and this allows you to, you'll see that this is what you can rest your lift on in a moment. And then we have this little piece here, which is kind of like a 3D effect, which you can basically put on the bottom of here, so it looks like the this cog mechanism is kind of going into the floor and spinning and doing amazingly crazy mechanics behind the scenes in order to get this lift working. And this is basically your station, and like I said, we've got two of these, so you'd have another one on another wall set up in your dungeon somewhere, and this is where your lift will go to, as it were. So what we've got next is we've actually got the lift itself. Two parts. You've got your two side pieces. Yeah, side pieces? I'm not sure that's the right word. And you've got like a base and a top. So we need to basically just connect those together. So I'm going to do that now. And I'm going to start by taking, you've got quite a large slot on a grey piece, and then you've got a very tiny little slot on here just at the bottom. I'm going to start by just locating those down as far as I possibly can manage it. Okay, so I want these to be down as far as possible. That then allows me, and you'll notice here we've got the top of here, we've got one is very slightly chamfered, this one's not, and I'm going to very carefully kind of, and there's a little bit of give in these, so I'm going to very carefully just pop that like that. You can see there's a slight bow here, and I'm just going to keep pushing that in until it locates, and it'll pop back, it's already done it, into the top of here to create this. Okay, and this is your kind of structure for your lift, as it were. Then we're going to take this part here and we're going to pop this into here, and this will kind of push into place and stay in place, but I would certainly pop a little bit of glue on here to hold that in place. And then last but not least, you've got a piece here which you can slot across the top of here. I think that we need to just widen this little slot here a bit to make sure that it fits in nicely. I'm still going to see if I can get it to, yeah, I don't know, that's completely fine for me. If the slot's a bit tight, you can always just run a little scalpel inside and just loosen it slightly, and don't worry if you loosen it too much, because you can just drop a little bit of glue in here. I would certainly say this is a gluable item, albeit this one doesn't need any. Okay, and then what you have is, once you've located this back into your, you've built a dungeon, you just find a place to put these. You take the wall, you build this on here, and you build the other one in another location. It doesn't have to be lower, it could be like same height, whatever, just to get across the whole span of your dungeon. And then you can literally just rest this on here, or like this on here, and this is your area for your guys to get to, either put their loot on and send it over, or to get a miniature on there and do that. And then within the realms of the game, you would then activate it and move this to the other location. Great way of traversing along large areas of the dungeon. So I'm going to pop that to one side, because after putting the lift together, we did have a little bit of space that's left on this sheet. So we've got one of these rather nice crates here. So I'm just going to pop that off. We can stick that together.
And here's the crates, or here's the crate, should I say? This is one of my favourite crates. Probably definitely my favourite crate from all different crates that we do. Nice wooden crate. You'll notice that it's got an internal texture as well. So it's got like some sort of rich cloth interior. So you've got a lid and you've got a little insert here. I'm going to just move that to one side. This is actually the main body of the crate. So we're literally just going to slot the sides together, keeping the red textures inside. Like so. And then this is just going to be pushed into this bottom piece. So I'm going to take the two shorter sides, I'm just going to pinch it a little bit so that they'll just kind of facing in a little bit, and the tension of that will hold this in place. So when I pop this in, you'll see that holds that, and actually that holds that really, really well. Don't even need any glue in that. I would, for longevity, just glue that little base into the bottom by running a little bit of glue around the bottom. And then what you're left with is you're left with a lid to put on top, which fits really nicely in there and stays under a bit of tension as well. But I also include this extra piece, and the idea of that is we can drop a little bit of glue on here, like so, and then we're going to locate that as centrally as we can onto the top of this. So I'm going to bring it a bit closer to me so I can make sure that I'm actually doing this nice and centrally. And I'm using super glue. Any super glue will do. I prefer a brush super glue, but okay. And then what happens is that when you put that on, it creates this kind of little lip, so that when you put the lid on, it snaps into place and adds a little bit of extra, not going to come off kind of thing, and then it sort of clips in and out. And again, you can totally just run some glue along the edge, the inside edge of here and that, and then once you've done that, place it down nice and flat, push it in just like I showed you, and then that's permanently in. Don't even bother gluing these sides, because this will hold it all in, and then you've got this nice little lid over here. So that's a little crate. And then all we've got left is some little bits of scatter. Now everything on here, we've got coal, which is, I'm not going to pop all these off, but you've got lots of these little tiny bits of scatter that you can pile up, little coal. If you've got the mining, our mines set as well, you'll get lots of this extra scatter, and you can put them in the mine carts and things like that. So some extra scatter, mine scatter there all across this sheet. There's also everything else on here is just titled timber, and actually what we've got here is we've got like a little kind of barrel, as it were, and some little bits of wood. And just like any of our other barrels, you can, if you've got any of our other sets, you can basically just wrap this around here. This will require glue, and then you've got some bits of timber to put in the top. So I'm just going to really quickly show you how to do that. First of all, you've got some half cuts. So I'm going to go through these half cuts here, which makes a nice little circle like that, and this basically wraps around here. And I find the best way to do this is to drop a little piece of glue right here, not right at the bottom. I like to have the base raised up slightly. The reason is when you wrap it round, it gives you something to, it's not right at the bottom and sort of constantly popping out. And then I take this and I drop that in, hold it there for a second, and make sure that it's kind of sitting up, and you can see it's not right at the very bottom. And then I would put that to one side and I would leave that to dry for a bit so that this becomes solid. Then what I would do is I would take the glue again, and I'm just going to glue, once this is dried, all the way around this part, and I'm going to wrap the barrel together. I might drop a little bit of glue here if I think it needs it, but I'll then just wrap this around this part. And what that's going to do is that's going to leave me with, a nice little barrel. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to be impatient. I am not going to wait for this to dry, just to stubbornly show you that, you can just crack on with it. If you've assembled a lot of these before, you're like, yeah, I'm not waiting, I'm just going to do it.
So I'm going to see if I can do this without leaving it to dry. Let's see what happens. Now what you can also do, once you get it to this stage, I'm holding this in place at the moment, is you can just get a little elastic band, and not too tightly, but just like wrap it round a couple of times until it's just holding it with a little bit of tension, like my fingers are. And then I'd stick that off to one side and just forget about it until you've assembled some other bits and pieces. Then when you're done, just take off all of the take off the elastic bands, as it were. And then once you've got that, these little bits of timber can just go in there, and that makes a nice little barrel with some kind of cool effects, as it were. And you know, just once you've done that, I also, because I like my terrain to be ready to just put out straight away, I just blob a load of glue in the bottom of there to make sure that way more than I need, so that I can then drop these in here and just kind of make sure that they're not going to be falling out either. Make sure they've got some glue on them, and then I would leave that basically to dry, so that I've got my nice little barrel with my bits and pieces in it. So you've got your little barrel there, you've got your super little, not so little crate, as it were, and then you've got the business part of this set, which is the mining lift. And remember that we've still got a whole nother station that would fit onto here to create another one of those as well, which is really, really cool. And remember, you don't want to glue any of this particular part, because you want to take this apart and have it off of different walls, as it were. But yeah, there you go. That is the mining lift, a very, very cool set, and yeah, even a couple of extra bits included on there as well. Awesome.